Hey everybody, and welcome to Season 7 of Reservations. I'm Rain Whalen.
And I'm Cornelius Starfish.
Oh fuck. We're doing that again.
Yeah, I miss it. I miss doing it.
That was pretty fun. So yes, welcome to Season 7. We have missed you guys.
Yeah, we have. It's only been 2 weeks, but or 3 or whatever. But we miss you guys.
Yeah, well for them it's been a lifetime.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. 2 or 3 weeks without us.
Could you imagine?
Nope.
Like if that like time dilation was like that, like for us it's only been 2 weeks, but for the people listening and watching are like, it's been like the old woman Rose gif, like it's been years.
Oh my god, it's been 80
Hey, shout out
years.
to our We Hate Movies episode.
That's right. The We Hate Movies episode. That's funny. It's movies we hate.
Yeah. But yeah, everyone. So here we are, Season 7. I am going to be doing the intros for Season 7.
Yeah.
And Jeremy's going to bring back his fake
Making up names.
Yeah. Which means future Rain has to make sure he's spelling it correctly now when it pops up on the screen.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point because I don't think I've done it since we started doing video.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay.
Oh, I mean, I'm not saying stop.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm
Keep going.
going to.
But yeah. So before we get into the episode, dude, we saw the Batman. So Jeremy and I got tickets to a special fan event at our local movie theater. We got to see it 24 hours earlier. Actually, no, 48. Because usually midnight premieres aren't till Thursday now.
Right.
So we got to see it 2 days before everyone else did.
Yeah. It was so cool.
It was so good.
Awesome.
We are not going to spoil it for anyone.
No, spoiler-free review. It's amazing. Go see it. That's pretty much what.
Everyone kept asking me, like, are y'all going to talk about it? It's like, look, we usually stay away from movies that are in theaters. Not because if we enjoyed it, like Dune, I was fully ready. I was like, man, we should totally do an episode over Dune. But here's the thing. We need time to actually sit and comprehend what we just witnessed.
Yeah.
And even though I'm willing to do it, because I'm going to see the Batman again.
Yeah, I will probably.
Relative to this recording, I'm seeing it on Sunday.
Cool.
But at the same time, that means we have to pay for movie tickets again. And
yeah,
we would have to really pay attention. And
I would need to write stuff down.
And it's hard to do that with movies in theaters. So
it is. I used to when I was in college. I went to college. It's not a brag.
Oh wait, did you go to college?
I did. Was
it Texas Tech?
It was. In my horror movie class, I had a horror movie class. It's not a brag. We would do these days where we would watch a movie in class, and then we would have to. The deal was we would have to tweet, right? There was a special whatever, and that the professor had control over whatever, and we would just tweet our thoughts and things. My phone was so full I couldn't even add Twitter on my phone. Oh. And so I had to write things down and just hand it to her and just type her an email afterward or whatever. And so I got really good at writing in the dark because she would turn all the lights off, and most of the time they would be black and whites, and so the monochromatic picture quality would make it just as dark, and so I really couldn't fucking see what I was doing. But I was like, I think that's the line. So I could write in the dark. I just
But you don't want to.
Not really.
Yeah. And the day will probably come where we will do a whole episode over the Batman, but
for sure
not while it's in theaters right now. So just go see it. It was awesome.
It was amazing. Go see it.
Great cast, great writing. Matt Reeves, give me at least a trilogy. Pull a Chris Nolan, give us a trilogy.
Well, we're for sure getting we're getting spin-off series.
We're getting a Penguin series. We're getting a Jim Gordon series.
And possibly an Arkham series.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
Dude, and Warner just needs to back off and let him do it. Let him just do what he needs to do.
So far, so good.
Yeah. But anyway, so go see it.
Yeah.
But sadly, we are not talking about the Batman. So, if you missed our Season 6 finale, we are talking about movies that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be picking movies I haven't seen. Jeremy may have seen them, and vice versa. He's going to be picking movies that he hasn't seen that I may have seen. Which I'm going to go and tell you now. All the movies he's picked, none of them I've seen.
Cool.
Or even heard of, only except for one, which you gave me.
Yeah.
So, since I get to start this season, we are starting it with a movie that interested me when I watched it on the Criterion videos, in the closet where they have an actor or director, someone.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how you found out about
So
this.
I found out from Michael Cera's video.
Ah.
And his eyes, that was the first movie he found.
Well, now this makes a lot more sense.
And all he said about the film was the plot, the main thing about the movie. So we were talking about, I was going to say his full name.
Nope, just Ozu.
Ozu.
Yeah.
Future Rain will put his name up.
Yeah, for sure.
Ozu's 1959 film, Good Morning. This is a story about two brothers who decide to be a little defiant in the funniest way possible.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about that is that's not really the plot of the movie.
It's really not. There's the movie and I guess this is kind of a good way to start the episode, is the movie has not really one discernible plot. There's about three.
Learning a lot about Ozu for this episode, that's really his thing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of his themes and motifs are not having a main protagonist, not having a main storyline, not having a full plot, beginning, middle, and end, right? These are snapshots of contemporary life in Japan.
Yeah.
That's what Ozu is known for. And so I would compare it to maybe like Robert Altman. If those of you who have seen films like Shortcuts, Robert Downey Jr. is in that, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
And Jennifer Jason Leigh and Tom Waits and Lily Tomlin. And
oh, wait, did you say Jennifer Jason Leigh?
I did say Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Oh, my God.
I know. So his films are, this one is, it's sort of not so much like Magnolia where there are lots of plot lines that merge together. These are just plot lines.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what Shortcuts is. If you've seen it, again, Altman is like Nashville, and like he does stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I was surprised by Criterion's synopsis, which is the synopsis you gave me, which is two brothers take a vow of silence until their parents buy them a television.
Yep. Because that's what Michael Cera said, and I was like, huh, interesting.
Now seeing the movie, I would not describe the plot that way.
No.
Yes, that happens.
But it's so much, there's so much more. And I guess we should just start.
Yeah, let's dive right in.
So we have our characters, and don't ask me their names, even though they say them.
Yes, they do.
I don't know any of their names.
It's okay.
We have this sort of like kind of subdivision within Tokyo.
Yeah, they're in a suburb. Yeah.
And it's sort of a lower middle class suburb. All the families in the suburbs seem to be struggling not necessarily struggling, but it's hard for them to get certain necessities.
Right. Jobs have been lost.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And yeah, I don't know if this was like a sort of still an economic struggle from the war. I don't know. I do know.
I thought about that for a little bit.
Yeah, I do know that this is taken from. I mean, this is sort of like, we would have gotten into this at the end, but this is a light remake of a silent film he had done.
I Was Born, but
right. But he wanted to set a similar story in post-war Japan, suburbs of Japan.
So he already had all the makings right there. So
right,
he had
and so like I'm wondering if, of course, the culture and the economy and the way people live changed dramatically, I'm sure, after World War II, right? And so I'm wondering if the shift was so much so that he decided, you know what, I have this story, let's put it in this different time now, right? And see how it's different, right? It's really interesting. Someone who doesn't know anything about that kind of stuff or about Japan or Tokyo.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not really into that necessarily.
A historian?
No. But it's fascinating to me that, you know, things that make the movie are things that you would need to dig a little deeper into. I think if you watch this movie at face value, you wouldn't get much out of it.
Well, and I did think about that because, you know, when they were talking about the washing machine, you know, and how I do remember the mom of the two brothers, Mrs. Hayashi.
Good job.
That's the only name I remember. She was like, you know, we really want one, but we can't afford it.
Right.
You know, and I had that thought. I was like, what if this is a suburb that has been so affected from the aftermath of World War II that this is the most these people can do?
Right. And this is more than 10 years afterward, right? This is about 15 years. Well, almost. Afterward. And it's interesting because I don't know how long an economic crisis can last, right? And you know, especially to put it in our own personal experiences here in West Texas, even the economic crash of 2008 with the housing bubble, that didn't really affect the Permian Basin. It didn't affect really.
Yeah, I don't remember
because our economy is set solely on oil and gas, right? And so if oil and gas is fine, we're fine. And so the housing bubble didn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
It's weird to say, but it really didn't affect us very much. And so
I don't remember much from that.
The
period.
lasting effects and how long it lasted, I'm not sure because I didn't live it, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is even if that's what's going on here, right? Again, I'm making assumptions because I know there is deeper meaning in this, and I know that within these snapshots of contemporary life, there is a deeper meaning, right? Whether Ozu is, intending for there to be or not.
Right.
I know that, with these storylines, there's got to be a point, right? And even if it is just a snapshot of what is life now in the suburbs of Tokyo, why? Right?
Yeah.
It must be important, and it is important. So I think that's really interesting. So let's let's dive into the plot.
Well, this is why people listen to us, so
That's
they
right.
can hear us reach.
Reach for the stars. That's what I like to do.
So the plot. So yes. So we're mainly in this suburb, this kind of lower middle class suburb.
The houses drove me crazy, by the way.
How close they are to each other.
And the fact that I just couldn't, because I'm not familiar with the layout, right?
Yeah.
And this is normal for a lot of people, and so he didn't need to establish how this housing complex is set up.
Yeah.
Or
and how everyone
neighborhood.
just keeps walking into each other's homes.
Yeah, it almost seems like the walls can slide, right? That they're not just doors that are sliding that I've seen in movies. But they're like complete walls that can get like a breeze through the whole house or whatever. And that if everyone in the neighborhood does it, there's a beeline straight through everyone's house.
Yeah.
It's what it seemed like to me.
Oh yeah. That. I mean, that makes sense because. Yeah. So anyway, so we have this community, and we follow these 4 families. Yes, 4 or 5 families.
Sure.
In this community, and we're following. It's really cool. I really like how Ozu does it. We're following the adults and we're following the kids.
Yeah.
It's not just. Everyone's together and we're following these characters. No, we're following the adults have their story, the kids have their story. And so with the adults, the adult stories are a little bit more dramatic, in my opinion. And then the kids' story is a little bit more funny. And I think that's why it's more of a comedy than a drama.
Yes, I in my research of Ozu's filmography, this is the most upbeat and light.
And it
of
is.
all of them.
And it is very, because the stakes aren't very high in the movie. There aren't very high stakes. No one's being the most is just gossip, which brings us to our first subplot of the movie.
Yeah.
The housewives of these few families and their awful gossip chain.
Yeah, I mean, they have sort of like a makeshift HOA, I guess, is what it is.
Yeah, that's what I was gathering. Is they
I forgot
have
what they called it, but
they just call it the womanly dues or something like that.
something like that.
And so they have a group leader, a treasurer, and then everyone gives the treasurer their dues, which she gives to the group leader, and there we go, which would be like a homeowners association.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, that's what HOA stands for.
Yes, in case anyone didn't know.
Yeah.
But what starts this is one of the wives having just a casual meeting with one of the other ones is saying how the group leader's saying she didn't get our dues. Mm-hmm. Well, but she did buy a washing machine. And so this starts this kind of almost like wildfire, as most rumors do, starts this chain of, well, the group leader pocketed our dues and bought herself a washing machine.
That's right.
And the only person who doesn't really firmly believe this is the treasurer, Mrs. Hayashi. She's the only one who's kind of like, well, no, I gave her the dues. I gave her everyone's dues. I don't think she got it. I don't think she used that money to get a washing machine.
Yeah.
Now, can I tell you my least favorite character?
Absolutely.
Is the group leader. Is her. She's the fucking worst.
You think she's the worst?
I do not like her character.
I think her mom is the best.
Her mom is the best.
Yeah.
Especially when she's talking to herself.
Yeah.
I love that. But no, I do not like the group leader at all.
Okay.
Mrs. I don't remember.
Mrs. Washing Machine.
Mrs. Washing Machine. Yeah, I do not like her because then when she catches wind of this rumor, she believes that Mrs. Hayashi started, even though she's the one who's sort of defending her.
Yeah.
And this is when I knew I wasn't going to like her, when she goes and to her house and pretty much says like, you didn't give me the dues. You stole it. Like, and you're starting this rumor. And I'm like, bitch, please. But yes, so this is our first subplot of no one knows where the dues went. The Mrs. Hayashi claims, no, I did give them to her.
Yeah.
Mrs. Washing Machine says, no, you did not. But then we meet her mother, Mrs. Washing Machine's mother. Or we'll just say...
Mrs. Dishwasher. Jesus fucking Christ, man. I was just kidding about the washing machine.
I don't know what else to call her.
You're right.
I mean, I could just... the group leader of...
No, that's fine. I like Mrs. Washing Machine.
Mrs. Washing Machine. So we meet her mom because because they have this local peddler coming through trying to sell toothbrushes, pencils, rubber bands, stuff, and Mrs. Washing Machine's mom just destroys him.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, you know what? Here, I'll take a pencil. Let me sharpen it with my own knife. And she pulls out this giant...
Yeah, that's not a knife. This is a knife sort of a scenario, yeah.
And I just love how he just leaves so defeated. Just
he was really upset.
But then this is when we learn that actually Mrs. Hayashi did give you the dues.
That's right.
I gave them to your mother, and her mother is just a little forgetful and just forgot.
Too busy being awesome.
Yeah, too busy being awesome.
That's right.
Too busy kicking those peddlers to the curb.
That's right.
And again, her daughter berates her, just like, I can't believe you forgot. You're so senile.
Yeah.
But this is when I knew I was gonna like her mother, because her mom's like, she thinks she's so important, always nagging, and I was like, she is always nagging. And then she apologizes to Miss Hayashi. I'm so sorry. Kind of a half-ass apology, in my opinion.
The whole thing is sort of interesting because it's, I guess it shows the mundanity of suburban life that, that paying dues and misplacing the dues and what rumors that what people might have done with them. I mean, it's so, in if this were done in America, like in an American sense,
it would be the Burbs.
It'd be the Burbs, exactly. And
shout out to the Burbs.
And it's just so funny to me that that they're just gossipy busybodies. That's what's going on.
Pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Right.
So, well, and it also kind of ties in to, so this is the end of our first subplot, ties into the kids' first subplot, which is all of their parents have told them to study, work on homework, don't go next door and watch TV.
Yeah, don't go watch TV.
And, these kids are all probably 10, 11.
Yeah, except for the little guy.
Shout out to the little guy.
He's so cute. The little guy.
Well, and he's on the poster, so.
Yeah.
And they don't want to go city. They want to go next door to their cool neighbor's house. The youngest couple.
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. TV.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. or Mr. and Mrs. Night Clothes, because they point out that they're always in their night clothes.
Yep.
Are super cool and will let these kids come over and watch sumo.
Sumo wrestling, which was a craze at the time.
Yes, I did hear about that.
Yeah.
So then and this kind of ties in to, I think, the parents subplot is, while the parents aren't watching TV, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to gossip. As where the kids are like, nah, we're going to watch TV.
Instead of studying their English.
Yes. Which I thought that was kind of interesting that they, outside of school, that they have a private tutor to help them with their English.
Right. Who, like many other people in this film, are struggling with employment. He doesn't have a job, and so what he does is he's doing translations for this other woman. I forgot who the other woman was, but doing translations for her. For some cash, some side cash.
Yeah.
And then also tutoring English for a side hustle until he finds a new job, and while also being infatuated with the nanny.
Yeah. No, is she the nanny or is she their aunt?
Oh.
Because they call her auntie.
Shit. I just assumed nanny.
I think she's their aunt.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine.
Because
that'll work too.
Let's just say aunt. It's easier for that. But
fine.
Well, so anyway. So then this is when the movie kind of, I think this is why Criterion said that it's about these two brothers, because the plot then sort of kind of pivots to the Hayashi brothers, because we kind of focus on them for the rest of the movie. Like, we still...
You're right.
I remember their friends' names. Kozu and Zen.
Wow, good job.
I don't remember their names.
Which one keeps shooting himself?
Kozu.
Nice.
Yes, and it took me a while to figure out that. So we should also mention that Ozu also put in a lot of fart jokes in this movie, because apparently the boys have discovered if they touch themselves in the middle of
I mean, it's not, they're just making themselves do it. It's just a funny game that they're playing.
Where they touch in the middle of their forehead, they'll fart, but their friend Kozu, Mrs. Washing Machine's son, keeps shitting himself.
Yeah, he tries too hard.
But anyway, so we focus on, this is when the movie kind of pivots after we see their English tutor, and then them kind of bringing up the whole like farting game.
Yeah.
And how they're eating
pumice stones.
Pumice stones, and he's like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, you're gonna die.
But this is when the movie kind of pivots to the Hayashi brothers, because they are so in love with watching TV that they want one too.
Yeah, of course.
And so they, if I'm being honest, they're kind of being a little shitheads towards their mom.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, Mom, buy us a TV.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you don't need a TV. And their aunt offers up a good, you're trying to be helpful. It's like, well, why don't y'all listen to it on the radio? And they're like, we would rather watch it.
I mean, I completely agree with them.
So would I.
I would also rather watch it.
So would I. And after a lot of, back and forth with their parents and their dad threatening to scold them if they don't throw their temper tantrums quietly, the brothers decide they're going to take a vow of silence, and they're not going to talk when they're at home or at school, and they're not going to eat until they buy them a TV.
That's right.
And what I love the most is the little brother decides, if I need to talk, I'll do this.
Yeah.
And that cracks me up so much.
Right. And so, like, even at school, he goes, "Can I talk? You have to tell me it's okay, if I can talk."
And I love that his teacher's like, "Do you need to go to the bathroom?"
I don't know what that means.
What does that mean? And he's just like,
Poor little guy.
I was laughing.
He's adorable.
So hard. I'm like, you're going to call on the one kid who took a vow of silence.
Of course.
And then this is when, I think this is why Criterion and even Michael Cera focused on that, because this part of the plot does take up the most space.
Yeah.
Because then we check back in with the busybodies.
Yeah.
Because since the boys have taken a vow of silence, they're not talking to anyone.
Right. And so now they're, like, well, are they fighting with the other kids? Like, what are they doing?
And Mrs. Washing Machine takes it as, oh, well, their mother is actually mad at me.
Yeah.
For what I said, and then didn't accept my apology.
It's such, like, house mom, stay-at-home mom bullshit.
Well, then she goes and she's like, oh, don't, make sure if you owe her anything, you give it back to her because she's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that rumor mill starts turning, and they're just, they're grasping at any sort of explanation of what... They have no idea to even think of they're taking a vow of silence because they want a TV.
Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous. Who would think that, right?
Exactly. Well, and then also, it's not really touched on as much, but, a rumor has started about the young couple. Mm-hmm. That the wife used to sing in cabaret, mm-hmm. which I guess is sort of taboo, which isn't, I don't think, the case, but...
I don't know. Makes sense to me. She's a total slut.
Well, I mean, I was going to say she definitely, even her husband, they lean into it, like walking around singing.
Yeah.
But we'll just touch on the young couples because they eventually decide, you know what, we're tired of the neighbors here, we're moving.
I don't blame them.
Neither do I. Because especially Mrs. Washing Machine.
Yeah, Mrs. Washing Machine, dude, like, mind your business.
I know.
But of course, like, that's the whole idea. It's like, of course, everyone's going to be in everyone's business.
Yeah.
What do you do all day, right? I mean, this is, if you're there all day, every day, mm-hmm. Everyone's in everyone's business. If your houses are basically conjoined, which it seems to be the case, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I love the most about the movie, and one of the other kind of subplots, is Zen's parents, that anytime his dad farts, his mom comes rushing in.
Yes.
Did you call me? No.
Yes, that did make me laugh.
Yeah. So many fart jokes.
There are a lot, yeah.
But I mean, I feel like it added to the charm of the movie. So we kind of touched on two of, I think, the three. Well, there was probably about four, I'd say, subplots with the adults. Mm-hmm. The third being how most of the dads, when they head out to go to work, actually going to the local bar.
Yeah, of course.
And drinking their sorrows.
Yeah.
And some more than others. Mr. T. I do know his last name starts with a T, so Mr. T. Not confused with...
Oh, my God.
B.A. Baracus.
Now, hold on. Now, isn't Mr. T... more like Mr. Teeth, good Lord.
Yeah.
Isn't he married to the woman? She's one of the busybodies, right?
She's the one. She's the one who kind of starts the movie when she's talking to.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
To Zen's mom about, like, did you hear? She bought a washing machine.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Okay, that's what I thought. So that's who he's married to, and they're like next door or whatever. Because he's in the wrong house.
Yeah, he ends up in the Hayashi's house, and he's like, "Oh yeah, thanks for house sitting," and then.
That's
Mrs. Hayashi was like, your house is next door. And he's like, that's right.
Yep. Which sort of plays into the fact that they, like, all live in, like, one community. Like, it's not it's not so much a neighborhood as it is like a commune.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, it's basically, yeah.
Is that it's just one big area.
That's right.
It's one big house, essentially.
Basically.
But then we have the subplot of their English tutor kind of falling in love with the Hayashi's aunt.
Aunt, apparently. I did not catch that the first time.
I want to say the subtitle said auntie.
And I'm sure you're right.
And I feel like I read somewhere where it says that she's their aunt.
I assumed
Nanny.
Yeah.
But she only shows up at night, though.
You're right. You're right. I don't know. I have no excuse. I was wrong.
Filthy mouth? No excuse?
Filthy mouth, no excuse. Find a new place hanging the snooze.
Okay.
Rest in peace to Chris Cornell. I know that's the wrong person. Let's go.
Oh my god. Wow, we're starting off season 7 with a bang, dude.
Yep.
Okay. So back to the Hayashi brothers.
I've not gotten to any of my notes so far. They're all for after.
So back to the Hayashi brothers. So they've really taken this vow of silence very seriously.
Yep.
They're not eating. They're not talking to anyone. But it's taking a toll. They finally get to their breaking point, and they decide to. And I get it. They don't want their mom to see that they're breaking and finally eating.
Yeah.
So they take some cooked rice and some tea, and they go somewhere away from their home so they can eat.
Yeah.
And again, love the little brother. He's like
cute.
when the older brother's like, "Hey, do you want some tea?" And he's like, "Yeah."
That made me laugh.
And he's just like,
I was Haley was there at that time.
Uh-huh.
Did you see he goes hold his hand out?
I know, as where the older brother's being smart and he's pouring it into the lid and drinking it. The little brother's like, no, just
in his hand. It's adorable. That kid's adorable.
Yeah, he is very yeah. Well, then they decide that they want some sides with this rice.
You know that's right.
And they get kind of found out by the police. But then, they go missing.
They run away.
No one knows where they're at.
Oh no.
And I love how no one's really, people are concerned, but no one's like no one's like, oh my God, what do we do?
I would say the parents less so, because the parents are just like, they haven't even left their house yet.
I know.
And other people are like, hey man, we got to find these kids. And they're like, ugh, do we have to? Almost like, okay.
Pretty much.
Which made me laugh also.
But the English tutor finds them. They were at a bus stop watching TV. Because these boys love TV.
They love TV.
And
Ken says to blame them. I do too.
And to their surprise, when they get home, their parents bought them a TV. This movie wouldn't, I don't think, have been good if they came home and their parents are like, all right, you're grounded for life now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, and what I liked the way buying a TV is presented, right? Mm-hmm. A friend of theirs finally got a job being
Mr.
a salesman, right? Being a salesman.
Yep.
But not a terrible one like the other two.
But I did love how he subtly was like, yeah, look at the catalogs, you know? Do you want to buy something?
Yeah, and they're like, you know what? To celebrate your new job, we should buy something. And then I'm like, I bet you it's a TV.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed it's a TV.
And yeah, and they bought a TV from him.
Bought a TV.
And what I really love is the brothers are so excited that they're in their room and they're like, yeah, we got a TV. And their dad's like, hey, keep it quiet or I'm going to return it. And I love that the little brother is like, he's lying. You can, his face gives it away.
Yeah, and he's just trying to, he's picking on him. Right?
Yeah,
which I like. I like that they're having fun.
Yeah, and that's Good Morning.
Yeah, it's basically Good Morning. Now we can get to my notes, because the notes is all analysis. What I liked about what you said at first was we have the adults and we have the kids, mm-hmm. right? This is on purpose, right? Yeah. We are comparing and contrasting adult life and the life of being a kid, right? Yeah. And of course, that's part of the Hayashi brothers' argument is that, you don't want us to talk so much, yet all the stuff you guys talk about is nothing. It's nonsense, mm-hmm. right?
It's good morning.
How are you?
How's the weather?
Isn't it great? What are you doing for dinner? It's all bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So I thought of this is not the first time I've thought of that, right? Years ago in college,
Oh, did you go to college?
I did. I had individual therapy for a while, all right? And then my credits, you have so many that you can use, right? Your tuition only covers so many therapy sessions. And so then once you do that, you can do group therapy. And so I decided to do group therapy. And, well, I didn't decide.
Your therapist decided.
Yeah, my therapist decided that you should try group therapy. And I said, okay. And this guy brought up, I'm sorry, this person, I don't want to give anything away. It's not like you'll be able to find him. I don't remember his name. But he had brought up this point that, if you think about it too much, it would drive you crazy. That small talk, he despised small talk. He hated the fact that people will talk about nothing just to be polite. You know what I mean?
Just so there's no, like, silence.
I guess, right? It's like, he would rather you not say anything at all than to almost pretend to be interested.
Right.
And speak, right? And
okay.
I was like, if you thought about that too much, it would drive you crazy, and I guess it does. That's how his depression manifested itself. And I thought that was really interesting, and it was, it's sort of like, that's what these kids are seeing, right? This is how they're viewing the world, in that sort of, with that lens of, yes, you guys are being friendly, but you're saying nothing, right?
Yeah.
Which I liked. I liked that insight that these kids had.
Well, and it's funny that you bring that up first, because then at the end of the movie, when they get what they want, they kind of go back to that.
That's right.
When they asked if Kozu or Zen had already left for the day for school, they're like, "Good morning, ma'am. How are you?"
Right.
Has Kozu left yet? No? Okay, we'll wait for him, And it's just really funny that was their argument, and now they're doing the same thing.
Right. And, with the kids, they have their own version of good morning, which is the farting game, which is the putting your finger on their forehead, and right? That's their version of good morning.
Yeah.
Right? That's their greeting to one another, which is a fun juxtaposition between, the polite good morning and this very silly, farting game.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Ozu decided to compare and contrast these two views on life, right?
Right.
What I also found extremely compelling was the way he frames his sets, right?
Yeah.
Of course, it's static shot, very reminiscent of Songs from the Second Floor, right?
Shout out to our Songs from the Second Floor episode.
And
Season 5?
I don't know. You keep track of that. I don't know.
Pretty sure it's Season 5.
What he does, and he does this a lot. Again, I did a deep dive video on Ozu today.
Was it like a 16-minute long video?
Yes. Did you watch it?
That was the one I started to watch, and then someone came in, so I paused it and didn't get back to it.
He layers his scenes, so there's always something in the foreground, and which is why I think this neighborhood is set up in a way where there's lots of entry doorways with something on the side, right? There's something in the foreground, there's something in the background, and of course people are set in the center. And it layers, right? But there's also something that I wrote down that I thought was fascinating. And let's see if I wrote it on which piece of paper. Because I need to be able to say it right. And I wrote it phonetically so I'd be able to do so. The tatami shot. I'll explain. I don't know if you noticed. I certainly did.
Okay.
Every shot is low to the ground. Especially inside. If they're in a home, it's low, right?
Yeah.
This is to simulate someone sitting on a tatami mat, which is what people sit on in Japanese homes, right? No one sits in chairs, right? They all sit on the ground on mats, and those are tatami mats. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I hope I am. And so and he does this in a lot of his films, or in all of them, right?
Right.
Where it's to show this contemporary life, to show these snapshots of regular life. Why not put it at an angle where you would be sitting, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I like that he keeps things center in the frame. And what's more fascinating is the shots that linger, right? So he will never cut someone off, right?
Right.
If something is happening, the camera stays on until it's over, and even a little bit afterward. We will see someone exit a room, we stay. We cut to another room, it's empty, and then they walk in that one, right? Nothing is ever taking place off screen. No one is ever going to be already in a room. We will always see someone walk in it, right?
Okay.
Which I think is fascinating because he really is capturing real life, right?
Yeah.
He's leaving nothing to the imagination. We are not. He's letting everyone do what they need to do until it's over, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like when we see the kids watch TV and they call to the Hayashi brothers to come over, we follow them from their bedroom to the front door.
Yeah.
Get their shoes on, leave, and then we follow them to the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Walk in the front door, take their shoes off, and start watching TV.
Right. And even in he doesn't like to do POV, right? Meaning, sorry, if those of you who don't know, POV is when a shot is taking place from a character's point of view, which is what POV stands for. So through their eyes, right?
Right.
Instead of that, we get inklings of that, but it isn't true POV. So it's more reminiscent of Silence of the Lambs, where we get the straight to camera, right? But in where that is legit POV, right? We are literally looking through the other character's eyes as the characters are looking into ours, right?
Reference Buffalo Bill with the night vision goggles.
Right. In this case, it's not really POV, but the reverse shots, they're dead center in the frame, but they're not looking dead into the camera. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they don't. They're looking off to the side, and a lot of times their eye lines won't match up, right? Okay. So it's, again, we're getting just a different perspective of this conversation without it being POV, right? Without it being shot, reverse shot, POV, back and forth, right?
Right.
Which I think is very interesting. Again, keeping things dead center in that frame. He really likes that.
Yeah, I was... Speaking of the technicality, I was like, immediately in love with it. After the credits, after the opening credits, I was in love with the framing and especially the music.
Yeah, the music is great.
I love this sort of like kind of cartoony.
It reminded me a lot of like early Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Like real early.
And I did love that there wasn't a lot of tracking shots, that it was all static. And it felt... And maybe this is just doing this podcast for almost 3 years. 3 years?
Almost.
Yeah, 3 years. It's... You wouldn't think about a movie that was made in 1959 having this sort of style, Almost like a movie that would be made in the 70s trying to copy a style,
Yeah.
And it felt so personal too.
I agree, very intimate, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what that direct to camera single shot sort of is, right? It's intimate, right? We're getting into this conversation and we're settling on one person at a time.
Right.
Again, without it being POV, but it's getting more intimate with the conversation, right? Getting more intimate in the space and in the world, right? However, without it being POV, leads the viewer to still be disconnected and still be, a spectator instead of a active participant, which I think is really interesting because he doesn't want you to be a participant. He just wants you to be a spectator. He wants you to watch, not to be involved, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of reminiscent of, shout out to Before Sunrise.
Yeah.
That one especially, felt like we were getting access to a conversation that we shouldn't have been a part of.
Right.
And very similar to this, especially with the adults and all the gossip that goes on.
Yeah.
And it's funny that we're saying we're making these connections because with most gossip it's between two people that then spreads to someone else saying something and so on and so forth. And so it was just very intimate and very
Yeah.
And I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was such a cute movie.
It is cute.
And being a movie that neither one of us had seen.
Yeah.
We both went into with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
So I did want to say I really liked a lot of the line delivery. Everything felt very, I guess, natural. It didn't feel overacted or underacted. It just felt very natural in like some of the conversations that were taking place, or even to the little brother, like, oh, yeah, give me some.
Yeah.
It felt just
cute,
very natural.
Yeah.
Because a little kid would probably do that. A little kid wouldn't think,
well, you have the lid, I need the lid.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm thirsty. Right?
Right. And it wasn't hot tea.
Fucking cute as shit. I'm telling you, man, I love that kid.
Yeah.
I wanted to put him in my pocket.
Well, too bad he's probably an 80-year-old man now or something.
No, he wouldn't be that old. But I understand what you mean. He would be in his very early 70s, I would assume.
Yeah. What if he was still that cute?
I'd like to think he still is. I'd like to think he still is that cute. I hope,
Yeah.
I think the kid was also in another movie because I looked him up, and he was in High and Low.
Really?
Yeah. And so we'll see him again. Spoilers. This season.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready to wrap up?
I am. This is a cool start.
Yeah.
To this whole experiment of let's blind watch.
Yeah.
These films. In most cases, I mean, mine. I will be. For both of us. Yours
has been more so for me.
Yeah, I've seen some of yours, but I'm excited to see what this season brings and to finally watch some of these movies that have been gathering dust on my shelf.
Absolutely. Yeah, same here, man.
For forever.
And this is a good excuse for me to finally see movies that everyone has told me to watch. Yourself, my mom, or movies that like I've heard nothing but fantastic things about.
Right.
And, And so before we give our tease for next week's episode, so this season, unlike last season, the theme of being strange films, these movies may range from comedies to maybe dramas to
horror in some cases.
Horror. I know mine, almost all of them are almost dramas.
Yeah.
Very serious dramas.
Yeah, I have some dark comedy in here. I have some horror. I have silent film in here.
Oh yeah.
I have some experimental stuff. So I mean it really does range.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in no particular order. I don't know what order.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do after your episode.
Because honestly, I wanted to do one, but then it became the norm now because of the Ukraine incident. That people are like, well, I'm gonna watch this movie to remind myself of the horrors of war. It's Come and See, by the way. And I'm like, well, so many people did it, and I thought that they all thought they were having an original thought, I think.
Yeah.
And so many people did on my TikTok feed. I follow a lot of collectors, film collectors, and they were doing the same shit. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to save it for way later then. Because I don't want to jump on the bandwagon. I can't do that.
Yeah. We're not really a bandwagon podcast.
Not really.
If we were, we'd have more followers.
That is very true. Oh, shit.
So, Jeremy,
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about next week then?
That's a good question. I'm looking at my list. I think...
I thought you would have had that like ready to go.
I think I do. I
Okay.
think I do, and it's the first one on my list. Don't look. No peeking. So, next week is going to be a tough one.
Oh, shit.
Not so much emotionally, just intellectually. I think it's going to be really hard.
Okay.
Next week, we are doing a film adaptation of John Le Carré's novel, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy.
Dope.
So it's going to be really hard because I swear to God I've never seen it, which is half true. I have tried watching this movie 3 times.
Didn't you tell me you fell asleep?
No, I get 30 minutes in and I said, I missed something. I am so lost. And so then I tried it again and I'm like, fuck, I don't know what's going on. And so I was talking to my buddy Shep at work.
Uh-huh.
Shep is my 73-year-old friend at work. He's amazing. We talk every morning about movies. And he is super into John Le Carré. So if you've seen The Night Manager, which was an AMC miniseries, Little Drummer Girl, same thing, Spy Who Came In From the Cold, A Most Wanted Man, these are all John Le Carré adaptations. And they are complex. He was a legit CIA.
Really?
Yeah. I wouldn't say spy, but, he was in it. And so
he knew some shit.
with his knowledge and with his knowledge of how the system works, how espionage works, it's so complex and so detailed that when he writes it down, he's not spoon feeding you, which I like.
Yes.
But also, it's very intimidating.
At the same time, you're like, just give me...
It's like, you got to give me more than that.
Give me just a little bit.
Yeah, so I have the book on Audible, and I tried that, and I'm like, holy
You're like,
shit.
oh my God.
The miniseries in 1979, it's with Allen Guinness.
Oh,
Yeah.
shout out to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, Allen Guinness plays George Smiley, who Gary Oldman plays in the movie. The Blu-ray and the DVD comes with a glossary. So it gives you terms and people and their definitions and who they are, so you can follow along, because it is that
Jesus
complex.
Christ.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I love spy stuff. I love Gary Oldman, and this one is stacked. With stars, man.
I didn't realize that Benedict Cumberbatch was in it. I didn't realize that Tom Hardy was in it.
Yeah, man.
My boy Colin Firth.
Yep.
Shout out to our Single Man episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm excited too, because I remember seeing the poster for this, and hopefully Future Rain picked the one that I'm thinking of, the one where it's like all the words and you see Gary Oldman like adjusting his glasses.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that poster and I was like, yo, what is this?
Yeah.
And then I just never got around to seeing it, and I remember hearing nothing but amazing things about it. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should see this movie.
Yeah.
And then I still just never got around to
Yeah.
seeing it. So again, this is why we're doing this season. So it can force me and also you to finally watch these movies.
Yeah. So yeah, man, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy next week. Don't miss it. Please watch it beforehand.
Let's go. So yeah, so we hope everyone has enjoyed this opener to season 7. Good morning. And we will see you next week for Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy.